Hey, this is Band Advice TV. Today I'm going to show you how to take a simple whiteboard and turn it into a valuable tool in your recording studio. My name is Mark V, and this is Tips, Tricks, Giggles, and... Hey everybody, welcome. I'm sure you guys got a pretty good idea of the role of the record producer and the importance that they play in the recording process. Not only do they help out with the arrangements and getting the best possible sound out of the musicians, they're also there to kind of convince the other band members of the importance of the cowbell. And most importantly, they're there as a project manager. The record label or whoever's financing the project really wants them to be there to kind of help keep the project on task and on budget. Well, one of the tools that you'll often see in the studio that they use is a studio progress board. It's a simple whiteboard all mapped out and gridded out. So today I'm going to show you guys how to make one, and then afterwards we're going to come back and I'll kind of tell you how I'm using mine. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the supplies that I have. Just a typical whiteboard. Let's see here. Looks like it's about 35 inches by about 23 inches. Also has some of this art tape that you can pick up. Both these you can get at your local hobby store. I got just a utility pocket knife if I need it, pen and paper so I can figure out what dimensions I'm going to use, and of course, a dry erase marker for helping position where I'm going to put my lines. So first I want to figure out what my usable area is here, because that will determine the grid size and how many grid length and wise I'm going to have. So it looks like I'm 21.5 tall versus 33.5 wide. So I'm going to write that down. By 33.5. So my thought is, I've seen these with all different sizes. I would like to go possibly 1.5 inches square on these, which would be roughly, start over here just to get an idea if that's the size we want to go with. So 1.5 inches square would be roughly like that. So bring it all the way up, bring it all the way up. And I think that would be sufficient. Now if I go 1.5 inches square, remainder of 2, 6 times 4 is, so it would be 14. So it'll give me roughly 14 squares, which I think is probably a little more than I need. So I'm going to go with 12 squares up and probably about 14 squares over. So the area itself is going to be roughly like this. And that'll give me room for titles and title tracks and stuff like that over here. So first and foremost, let me clean up the mess here. What I'm going to do is take the dry erase marker and I'm going to start. I'm going to go 14. Let's figure out total height then. I'm sorry, I'm going to go 12. So I'm going to go 12 times 1.5. So we go 18 inches. So we start from the bottom, go up 18 inches, and then put a mark there. So that's going to be the top of my grid. Now right away I'm looking at this saying, you know, it could probably be wider. So let's take it 16. Give us 16 tracks then to put on there. So let's go 16 times 1.5, 24. So it's a good solid 2 feet. Yeah, that should be fine there. So put a little mark right about here. That'll be the end. We'll do the same down at the bottom so I can line them all up. 24, 24. In fact, mark 18 on this side here as well. So first and foremost, we'll have a grid that line comes all the way across here, in this, and then this will all be filled in with 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares. And these will just be lines over here that we will put our song titles. I'm also going to have a line in here for a key, and so on and so forth. So first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and run the line across the top there. Yeah, number one, line one down. All right, so now I want to do consecutive 1.5 inch lines all the way down. So this tape, I find it's much easier to just kind of roll it out as you go, and then when your finger long enough to get it to adhese, if you cut it to length, it's a little harder to handle. All right. Now, like I said, we're going to go in all the way to a certain point. And keep in mind, I'm doing all the measurements from the inside of this frame. You don't want the frame to be part of your measurements, because it's just not. So you get the 1.5 inch marker right on the edge of the frame. Inside edge. Try to take into account the thickness of the marker tip. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that's 16 instruments, or 16 tasks. So you could have 14 instruments. You could have mix down and master as your last, whichever. Now this one's going to be the key signature. I'm going to do it narrow. So really only need one letter in there. So song title or track title, whatever. Now I'm going to come up here and we'll do the top instruments a little bit differently. Let's get a little fancy. But first I need to trim all this stuff off. Okay, the last little bit that I want to work on, it's going to be up here the instruments are going to be. And I could have just extended these straight up all the way to the top. That would have been fine, but I want to give it just a little bit of an angle, just kind of for an aesthetic purpose. Just kind of look cool. take this one straight up because this is for the key, so I want it to kind of look a little different. There we go. So then what we do is put like and there we have it, the studio board. We'll put the song titles down the side and we'll put the tracks across the top. Fill in as necessary based on what song and what we need to record. And here it is. Here's the finished product. As I mentioned earlier, down the side is where we'll put the song titles. Across the top is the different tracks, instruments, or tasks. And each one of the empty squares is something that still has to be done. Now, in the cases where I'm not going to have a particular instrument on a song, like percussion on Good to Be Alive, I put an X in there. That way I know I'm not going to mess with it. Every time I complete one of these tasks, I color it solid green, meaning we're good to go. If I complete a task, listen to it, and decide that I need to go back and redo it, I'll go red. That just tells me, okay, there's something already out there, but it needs to be retouched. And then there's cases when I'm maybe half done, like in the case of Lament number 35. I went ahead and programmed out all the drum tracks on my drum machine, but I want a real drummer to go back and actually do the final recording. So got the drums all programmed out the way I wanted them, so that's why I gave it a half. It'll be solid when the real drummer comes back and redoes all the recordings. Now in this case here, I had some extra columns, so what I did is I included some tasks. So there's a column for mix, column for master, column for distribute, and then there's a little column here at the end. So as you would expect, when the mix down is done, solid green. When I have it mastered and ready for distribution, great. When it's finally distributed and it's out there to the world, I'll color that. And the check mark means that that project is completed. And hopefully it's out there earning you a couple extra bucks. So there you go. Just a couple of dollars worth of a whiteboard, some dry erase markers, and some art tape. And you can have your own studio progress board. Hope you found this interesting. My name is Mark V. I'm your host. And this is Tips, Tricks, Giggles, and Stuff.